My wife spends the night with her male colleagues and says they are watching a movie. For a fleeting moment, everything seemed perfect. I could hear the gentle hum of our daughter's lullaby echoing from the nursery, mingling with the soft whispers of the wind rustling through the trees outside our cozy little house. My wife, Sarah, had just left after bringing me dinner at work, her smile lingering in my thoughts like the scent of her favorite perfume. But even as the warmth of our evening lingered, a cold shadow stretched across my heart, a shadow born from the deep well of mistrust that had slowly been consuming me over the past 4 years. A shadow that had, yet again, darkened my life only a month ago, when Sarah's secrets seemed to unravel faster than I could keep up. It all began 4 years ago on a night like any other. I was awakened by the dim glow of my phone screen. Groggy and curious, I reached for it, noticing a Snapchat notification. I opened it to find Sarah's location. She was at another man's house. Instantly, the familiar contours of sleep evaporated, replaced by a sharp, icy clarity. She had told me earlier that night she was going to a coworker's house to watch movies with some friends. It was almost 3 a.m. now. How could she still be there? And why wasn't she answering her phone? My mind raced with questions, each one more unsettling than the last. When she finally returned home, her explanation was shaky, riddled with pauses and incomplete sentences. She claimed they had simply watched movies and fallen asleep. It was innocent, she swore. But her reddened eyes and trembling hands told a different story, the truth. She eventually admitted they had kissed, just kissed, she said, before she left his place. But that wasn't the only thing gnawing at me. She had shaved down there before going out that night, a fact she couldn't justify beyond a weak shrug and averted eyes. Over the following months, my distress grew. Every glance, every touch between us felt tainted by that night. And then, another confession came tumbling out during one of our late-night talks, before the night at her coworkers. She had invited him over to our house while I was away on a work trip. He had slept on the couch, she claimed, while she stayed in our bedroom. Her story was fragile, like a glass figurine on the edge of a shelf, ready to shatter with the slightest nudge. We sought help through marriage counseling, trying to glue the broken pieces back together. And for a while, it felt like we were making progress. We welcomed a beautiful baby girl into our lives, a symbol of our renewed commitment to each other. Her innocent giggles and tiny hands held our fractured world together, a world that seemed to heal every time we looked at her. Fast forward to a month ago, when the shadow of doubt returned, darker and more menacing. It was an ordinary day, or so I thought. I was at work, glancing at my phone during a break when I noticed Sarah's Snapchat location again. She was in a wooded area, about 5 miles south of her work. The location struck me as odd. Why would she be there? I brushed it off initially, assuming there must be a reasonable explanation. Later, Sarah called to say she was picking up our daughter from daycare. Her voice was calm, normal, but something in my gut twisted. When she arrived at my workplace with dinner, I asked her if she really just got off work. She nodded, her eyes meeting mine without a flicker of doubt. I decided to push further, mentioning the Snapchat location. Her face paled slightly before she caught herself and forced a smile. Her initial story was that she had turned around in the wooded area to head back to work because she forgot her coffee cup. The explanation seemed contrived, and the more I questioned her, the more her story shifted, from forgetting a coffee cup to meeting friends because she thought I didn't like her socializing with others, to finally admitting she was with another coworker. She confessed that she had met him in a park to talk. He was going through a rough time, she said, and needed someone to confide in. She admitted she also vented to him about our marriage, telling him how she felt controlled by me and how she had gaslit me about the incident 4 years ago, not just for a few months as she originally claimed, but for a year. My heart sank. The lies weren't just a momentary lapse in judgment. They were a prolonged, deliberate choice. She had gotten out of her car and into his, sat there in the park sharing our most intimate struggles with a man I didn't know, didn't trust. Each revelation felt like a punch to the gut, leaving me breathless and reeling. I wanted to believe her, wanted to trust that she was telling the truth this time. But the weight of her previous lies bore down on me, making it impossible to see the situation clearly. Sarah assured me nothing happened beyond talking, but the betrayal of her deceit stung more than any physical act ever could. The secrecy, the lies, the confessions made to another man, it all felt like a betrayal of the trust I had fought so hard to rebuild. As I sat there at work, the uneaten dinner growing cold beside me, I couldn't shake the feeling of being lost in a labyrinth of lies, each twist and turn leading me further away from the woman I thought I knew. Life continued, as it always does, with its mix of mundane routines and small joys. Our daughter, oblivious to the turmoil between us, became a source of light in the darkness. Her innocent laughter and playful antics provided a temporary respite from the storm brewing in my heart. But every time I looked at Sarah, I saw the cracks in our relationship, the fissures formed by her dishonesty. Conversations became a minefield, each word weighed carefully to avoid triggering another argument or dredging up past hurts. We lived in a fragile truce, both of us tiptoeing around the shattered remnants of our trust. In an attempt to make sense of my feelings, I turned to friends and online forums, seeking advice from those who had walked similar paths. The responses were varied. Some urged forgiveness, others advocated for a clean break. But the common thread was a reminder that trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult to repair. I reflected on our marriage, the good times and the bad, the moments of joy and the instances of betrayal. Sarah and I had built a life together, one that included our precious daughter. But the foundation of our relationship was cracked, weakened by the weight of her lies. Confronting Sarah again, I laid out my feelings, my fears, and my doubts. I needed to know if she was committed to rebuilding our trust or if her actions were signs of deeper issues in our relationship. She listened, tears streaming down her face, her remorse palpable. She promised, once again, to be honest, to work on regaining my trust. She agreed to attend more counseling sessions, to be transparent about her whereabouts and interactions with her coworkers. It was a start, a fragile beginning to what I hoped would be a path towards healing. Rebuilding trust is a slow, painful process. It's filled with setbacks and moments of doubt. But it's also a journey of rediscovery, of learning to communicate openly and honestly, of finding ways to reconnect with the person you once loved unconditionally. Sarah and I are still on that path, taking each day as it comes, trying to navigate the complexities of our relationship. Some days are better than others, filled with laughter and shared moments that remind me why I fell in love with her. Other days are harder, filled with suspicion and lingering doubts. But through it all, our daughter remains a beacon of hope, a reminder of what's at stake and why it's worth fighting for. Her innocent joy and unconditional love inspire us to keep trying, to keep working towards a future where trust and honesty are the cornerstones of our relationship. The future remains uncertain, a landscape of possibilities both hopeful and daunting. But as long as Sarah and I continue to communicate, to be honest, and to work towards rebuilding our trust, there is hope for a brighter tomorrow. In the end, the journey to healing is not just about overcoming betrayal but about rediscovering the love and connection that brought us together in the first place. It's about forging a new path, one that acknowledges the past but is not defined by it. And in that journey, there is the possibility of finding a deeper, more resilient love that can weather any storm. If there's one thing I've learned through this ordeal, it's the importance of communication and honesty in any relationship. Trust is not a given. It's something that must be earned and maintained through consistent, transparent actions. Betrayal, in any form, leaves scars that take time to heal, and the road to recovery is often long and fraught with challenges. But there is also a lesson in forgiveness, in understanding that people are flawed and that mistakes, though painful, can be opportunities for growth and change. Sarah's actions hurt me deeply, but they also opened up a space for us to address deeper issues in our marriage, to confront the ways we had both failed to communicate and connect with each other. As we move forward, I hold on to the hope that we can rebuild our relationship, not as it was before, but as something stronger and more resilient. Our love has been tested, and while it may never be the same, it has the potential to grow into something even more profound if we are willing to put in the work. In the quiet moments of reflection, I find myself pondering the nature of trust and love. They are fragile, delicate things, easily shattered but also capable of remarkable resilience. Our journey is far from over, and the path ahead is uncertain. But as long as there is a willingness to communicate, to forgive, and to rebuild, there is always hope for a better tomorrow. For now, I take it one day at a time, cherishing the moments of joy and working through the moments of pain, holding on to the belief that, in the end, love can conquer even the deepest wounds.